What is up, guys, and welcome back to Teach Me PvP with Winning Potatoes.
Hello.
Hello. Today we're gonna be looking at builds.
Yes, builds today. Yes.
All right. So he taught me a few things about building my character and stuff like that. And I mean, there's not really many places to get builds right now. I mean, we talked about this before. There's not really like that core website. Like, oh, you can get all these builds from this place, this website, everything here, like how Guild Wars 1 was, where you can just, you said PVX?
Yeah, Guild Wars 1 had PvX Wiki, which was like this awesome place. It wasn't just for PvP, but it was best for it, where people just compiled all the best builds just all onto this one website, and it was like, okay, what build do I run in PvP? Because that's really important, right? And you would just go to that website and be like, yay, I'm done, I'm happy. But they don't sort of, it doesn't really, there is no equivalent for Guild Wars 2, sadly. So it's a little bit harder to sort of do now, yeah?
Right. So, I mean, you can go on the forums, and also, Winning Potatoes showed me a way you can do this was actually going to some of the matches, spectate some of the, the higher ranked players and seeing what they're building and kind of like, adjust your build to that of your playstyle. Because I'm pretty sure, depending on playstyle and the type of I guess weapons you want to roll and stuff like that, you can kind of build around that. And of course, the meta.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, what they basically did with spectator mode that was really good, outside of casting and stuff, is you can go into a hotjar and you can see people's ranks at the end of matches. You don't have to do it just on rank, but you can see, generally good players, people that you feel like are beating you a lot in that hot join. And you can jump out and spectate and you can see what they're running, and some people are very private about their builds, and that's fine, and they'll get to stay being private in tournaments because you can't see that. But in general, spectator mode is really good for finding a build. If you guys feel like you're struggling, you're not really doing too well, and you don't know whether it's because of skill or because of the build, it's now really easy to get that build, even if there's no great places online. There are some places, don't let me just slag off everyone like that. There are some places, it's just, it's always questionable. And spectator, I would definitely recommend. It's awesome. Very good idea.
All right, so I guess what's the first thing we should do? I guess get the build that you're going for, right? For me, I'm a guardian, so basically the best guardians are a bunker guardian, right?
Yeah, so a lot of guards run bunker. Sometimes you can see DPS, it's like semi-viable at the moment, but I feel like very much DPS Guardian used to be really strong because people would run Mesmers on backpoint, right? And they could kill the Mesmer. But now people run Rangers, Beastmasters and stuff on backpoint, which DPS can't kill. So sort of, I feel like bunker really is a really viable way to play Guardian. If I'm going to recommend anything on like a public series, I would recommend you bunk, yes, on your Guardian. So if you guys wanted to do that, you'd either find someone in Spectator or on a website, as we just said, and then we'd have to build it, yeah? And how do we do that? Like, how is building a build different in PvP compared to PvE?
I mean, they started separating the skills, right, from PvE and PvP, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, for instance, Save Yourselves doesn't give you like 14 seconds of boons, in just like PvE does. And PvP is pretty much nerfed. But I mean, it's balanced, should I say? Everything is kind of balanced to PvP. So if you're coming from PvE, your builds that work in PvE is not going to work in PvP. Well, I'm not going to say it's not going to work, but most builds are going to need a little adjustment.
Yeah, like you could be an expert of your class in PvP and PvE, but when you come to PvP, even though you might feel like you know a lot, because Conquest is really different and there's not so many enemies and stuff and different things work for different things, and it's about holding a node, your old PvE builds might not be that good, so don't try and get too hung up on it, and it would be my recommendation to swap it up. But actually, just for creating the build, we've got all these NPCs, right? So do we want to teach people just how, they even gear their character up?
Right. All right. So I guess the first one I'm going to right now is the weaponsmith, right? And as I said before, I'm going for a bunker. So Winning Potatoes gave me this build, which is hammer and mason shield, and sometimes you can go into scepter shield and sword and shield, and you can kind of mix around like that. I'm not telling you law here. This is the way you're supposed to use your guardian. No, this is not. This is just the way. And I actually like the hammer, which is I never liked the hammer in PvE. It just seems like not useful really. But for a bunker and keeping people out, it's actually pretty fun. I'm sure a lot of you see me play PvP in the last past videos, and I was using the hammer, and it was actually pretty fun.
That skill 5 is insanely awesome because you can like lock enemies in it and then they can't get away and you can just destroy them, or you can keep people away from nodes. You can like banish them and then immobilize them miles away from the point. It's really strong. Hammer's like awesome. But yeah, like there's two different sort of metas. So a meta is a large congregation of the current builds people tend to run. Like it's the state of the game in terms of builds. And the meta is kind of different on North America than it is to Europe. And in North America you see a lot of mace, shield, hammer guardians, so that's what I'd recommend you run. Sometimes people swap that mace up for like a sword on Kylo because they can jump back up on the point, but you know, it comes down to personal preference at some point, but that's generally what I like to see my guardians running, even though I'm like not an expert of one myself. I just generally know what I feel like's awesome.
And everything's free, by the way. You can just buy any weapon, any sigil, anything you want, any amulet. All you want is for free. Yeah, it's not like it doesn't cost money to gear up your character or anything like that.
No, and trait respecs are free, everything's free. So you can get your weapons and sigils from this dude here. Have you got that?
Yeah. So I got my weapons here. And also there's they did some patches to PvP, and now like everything's kind of separate. Like you know, PvP always on sigils, PvP on kill sigils, PvP on crit, and then PvP on swap. And you recommended energy for Guardian. Why is that?
Energy's like just a stupidly strong sigil. Energy's just crazy. It's amazing. So if you run energy, especially not even just on characters that are trying to bunk, on any old character really, it's going to be very strong. Every time you weapon swap, you're going to get free dodge, which is really nice. That does kind of mean that you can't run a lot of other sigils though, because they sort of share cooldowns and you don't want to accidentally get like an on crit effect when really you wanted the dodge instead. So I would run like 2 energy so that no matter which way you're swapping to, you get a free dodge. And I would recommend on top of that running like life, for example. There's not too many defensive sigils, but life's pretty good. That's what I'd say.
All right. So also, what is the steady? What is the steady?
So you've also got steady weapons at the vendors, and they're like really good. They do low damage, but they have no damage range, and that means they're really good for testing builds out, essentially, on different people. So if you really go hardcore, I need to know everything that my build does, what's the difference between every single trait, you can check that out. It's through those steady weapons most people figure out which traits are bugged and stuff. But like in my experience, as I said before, like I've barely ever played with them, like maybe once or twice in my entirety of PvPing. But they're an option if you want. Just make sure you're not using them in real matches.
Yeah, I can see how that can be bad. And I'm gonna go ahead and equip my hammer. Oh, and my shield here. Oh, and now, don't you hate when it just gets all crazy and it doesn't want to go in the right slot? There we go. All right. So the next one is armor. And of course you have different types of armor that you can use using the PvP locker. How do you, well, I guess that would be for another video of how you actually unlock some of these skins.
Yeah, so the armor itself from that vendor over there is just really basic stuff. But if you have a look at this locker guy here, there's tons of different sets. This is generally all PvP reward stuff, which we'll either look at tomorrow, or well, next episode, or the one after that. But yeah, there's tons of stuff here in the lockers, which eventually is where you'll spend most of your time. So
first, coming into PvP, you're gonna have like this newbie armor, like I've been complaining about for so long. But then as you can see, you get nothing. Like this you only get defense, right? That's pretty much it that you get on your armor. You don't get any stats on here. So where you want to go is get your runes. And of course, everything is separated by power, precision, toughness, vitality, critical damage. Everything's separate, so you can actually pick what you want. You can go directly to what you want to do. And I am going for soldiers, right? Because I'm going for a shout build.
Yeah, so because obviously I'm teaching Matt this stuff, I kind of said one really nice way of running a bunker guard is by running shouts. Shouts are really strong at the moment. Even recently you've seen like a lot of guardians run triple shouts. And for that rune set is probably one of the best ones you can go for. There are other options, but soldiers is very strong if you're going to go with a shout guard. So really the main reason you come to this NPC is just for the runes, because the armor itself eventually you'll be able to get out of your lockers. So you'll just grab your runes from this guy. It's all free, just like everything else. You just can buy it and try it out. And those actual separated tabs is sort of a new update, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so you don't have many stats right now, yeah? So do you want to explain what exactly goes on with the amulets?
So yeah, no, don't worry, guys. There's actually stats in this game. So now everything is replaced with amulets. Yeah, amulets give you the bulk of the stats. Man, if we could only have this in PvE, just.
Oh my god, yeah, wow.
That would be amazing. Now you
just
can
make a new character.
Powerful.
Oh, look, you have low 80 stats. Well, the statistical cap on these amulets is actually lower than if you were a PvE character with, like, all ascended stuff. So you actually do less damage. Like, there's no real power creep in those terms in PvP. But, you know, it's designed to all be balanced. Like, in PvE, you can get, like, 110% crit damage. And this, like, the highest you'll ever really see is 60, 70. And it doesn't really go
right. So, I mean, depending on which build you're going through and the playstyle, there's different amulets for each, I'm going to go with clerics, because that's kind of the build I'm going for.
Yeah, like, we really should explain, these amulets are, like, insane. They will change your playstyle massively. The difference between, like, a Zerker's amulet, Berserker's at the top, which is, like, massive glass cannon damage, and a cleric's amulet, which is really defensive and supportive, is night and day. It's huge, because this is all your stats except for your runes, like, and your traits too. Like, it accounts for a huge amount of what your character is. So picking your amulet is really important. But this is the vendor you do it at, and you've got the jewels, right, too, which you can sort of hybridize if you want. If you want to. Like,
exactly, you can switch the jewels here. Just like rings and amulets and accessories in PvE.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Kind of switch them. Alright, so I'm going to go with clerics. And, of course, I should probably show my build here. This is recommended from Winning Potatoes. It's 30, 30, 10, 0, 0.
Wait,
and
what?
You're supposed to use only 1 through 5 of your traits. No Grandmasters, no Tier 2. This is exactly what you're supposed to run. So, for my Grandmaster trait, I use 1. Which is mobilizing a foe after applying 5 stacks of vulnerability. That is the best tier 3 trait to get for the Guardian. All right, no, I'm just playing. All right, you can refund all your traits
for free.
For free. You don't have to worry about paying 3 silver like in PvE.
Or going to a merchant even. You can just do it anywhere, which is even awesomer.
Right. I found this build online, and I actually can't remember. I think I picked Courage for. All right, so I go 0, 0, 10, 30, 30, right?
Yeah.
And this is another thing to mention. With the runes I got, right? Pure of voice for the Guardian, right? Converts a condition into a boon, so that actually works with your runes as well.
So with the way you're bunkering, it's not enough to just survive. Like, you can do a lot of provide a lot of support for the rest of your team. So you're going to want to take traits that benefit shouts in lots of various ways, which you can do. There's not much variety, sadly, in Guardian bunkers anymore. Like, meditations used to be somewhat viable, but they're not anymore, and they haven't been for a long time. So it should be pretty self-explanatory to know what traits you want to pick. Just go into the defensive lines and take that stuff. Sometimes there's more obscure weird things, but you can always learn that from, you know, just talking to people. You know, that's a big way as well. I didn't describe this before. A big way to just learn more and get to know what works for your build or not is just talk to other people you see running the same thing. Most people are really social, and if you are too, then you'll learn a lot about the game and the different ways it can be played. But generally, as long as you've got the trait spread itself sorted, you're at least on the right lines.
Right. For right now, I guess like the best thing is getting that shout recharge 20%, because it goes right down to my utilities, which is hold the line, stand your ground, and sanctuary. So that you have I have my 2 shouts here that, man, every 28 seconds and any 24 seconds I can, you know, convert a condition into a boon, which is very helpful because you see a lot of necros out there these days that just crushes me, and I still see them run with those minion builds. They just come like 2 necros with minion builds, just come and just demolish me. And of course, sanctuary. I also have a 20% for sanctuary as well, and they last a little bit longer, which protects you from pretty much everything and heals you. It's like a little bubble that goes across. Actually, I can actually show it here. Yeah, so a little bubble.
And that will affect allies too. Like, I can stand in here and benefit from it.
And you were telling me about my healing skill, right? And I decided to go with Shelter, about what blocks attacks while healing, because it seems like every time I'm trying to heal, they see it and they try to like push me or just try to interrupt me in any type of way they can, and I won't be able to heal and I just die. So healing, shelter is really good for it because it actually blocks attacks while you're healing. Yeah,
Shelter is a great ability because people are smart. They'll see that you're trying to use a heal skill, and people watch for this kind of stuff in PvP, and there's a very high chance someone will manage to interrupt you. It's really annoying when they do it just on accident and they just get a lucky interrupt. With Shelter, that's not a problem because you block all attacks, like except ones that specifically go through blocking. And to be honest, if you get killed because of that, then it's sort of fair play, in my opinion. You know, if they manage to interrupt you just like that because they played smart, then fair enough. But yeah, very strong heal skill. I kind of cringe when I see Guardians running the Signet and stuff. So
right, because it does double the healing, right? So I can see like, oh, it does double the healing. That means it's better. So
and you think that the Condi cleanse passively must be useful as well, when in truth it's not, because most of the time it's going to be on cooldown if you're in heavy fights. And even if it's not, how are you? It's going to be so rare that Condi cleanse is going to cleanse you at the right time, because that thing actually ticks even if you have no conditions on you at all. Yeah. And just keeps going on to cooldown. So it's kind of useless, to be honest. Even that Condi cleanse, like active Condi cleanse, is way better. Way better. It's not even the same league. So yeah, I would recommend the Shelter heal. Yeah, and your elite as well, I guess.
Yeah, my elite, since they nerfed, you remember how good tomes were?
I actually don't. You mentioned that before. Well, how are they so good?
So what happens is, if I can remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but the tomes used to lock you in place and give you stability, so you can't be knocked down or anything. And it also gave you more health. And Guardians were already beefy. I mean, beefy, like a good steak beefy, okay? And they could not die. And I would just sit there and heal everybody, right? And that would be amazing. The best. It was, and it made you feel so powerful. Back in the days where Rangers had that spirit build where basically they couldn't die either, which was great as well. Running a Guardian and a Spirit Ranger was just awesome. But I go with Renewed Focus because, and I do this in PvE as well because it seems like the only useful one. When you're in danger, you just pop all 3 of your virtues, which also give you buffs, by the way. Just by in your traits, if you read all your traits, go down here. Each one applies something different. Justice gives you Might, Resolve gives you Regeneration, Courage gives you Protection. Pop all 3, you get all those buffs, and you pop Renewed Focus.
And all your allies too, like I've got it all on me as well.
Exactly. And plus, you're invulnerable for 3 seconds, which is also good.
Which is very, very strong. Yeah. So you can chain it with your heal skill and stuff, and it's just an incredibly powerful way to roll Guardian. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think we didn't really want this video to just be for Guardians, yeah, and PvP. I guess we just kind of wanted to demonstrate how you go about setting up your own build, yeah, because everyone's going to need that, yeah, because it's so important when you're first coming in and first trying to learn this game.
All right, guys, I hope this video was informative to you, and I mean, it's just not just about Guardians, as When Potatoes was saying. You just have to kind of look up online. Sadly, there isn't a holy site that just teaches you everything you need to know about.
But there are a variety, and you know, we'll try and have in the descriptions of the videos, you know, if anybody's got any recommendations. I've had a few people saying, oh hey, I got this great website. I tend to find stuff wrong with a lot of websites that host builds, honestly, I've got to be honest, but there are resources out there. My primary recommendation would be spectator mode. Very, very strong and a great thing that ArenaNet have added to the game. But beyond that, yeah, there's plenty of resources out there online too. And generally this is how you make a build, yeah, which I think we really wanted to get across to everyone. Because it's so important. It comes at the start.
Definitely. Just before you actually start learning your character in PvP. Because if you don't have a good build, then you're probably going to have a bad experience like I have many times.
Yeah, like you've shot yourself in the foot before you've even begun. And nobody really wants to do that. So it looks intimidating. It's not really. We hope this helped, I guess, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright guys, well we hope you enjoyed. Next time we're going to be having a look at basically the rewards. We had a little bit of a look at the locker just now, but we'll go over that in more detail. Exactly what do you get from even PvPing, because there are benefits for doing this that translate to PvE. You do get cool stuff, honestly. We'll have a look at that next time, and then we're going to have a much bigger look at forming a team. A lot of people have been really interested in actually forming teams with their friends and stuff, and I really embrace that. I think that's a really cool idea. So we'll have a look at that and the kind of crazy terminology people come out with and stuff. We can start getting into the more kind of interesting stuff now that we've got really the groundwork laid out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Hey, if you did, give me a like, share with your friends, leave a comment, say what's up in the comment section below, and stay visual. MattVisual.